Assalamu alaikum students. Today our topic of discussion in the subject physiology is the humoral control. First of all, we have to define what is humoral control. Actually, it is the control of circulation which occur by the release of the substances into the blood. For example, these substances will be the hormones and the various other factors. And these hormones are produced in the specialized cell of your body. Specialized glands of your body. Then these glands support their secretions into the blood, and various other factors which are produced locally in the tissue, and they act locally on their neighboring tissues. And their secretions are not poured into the blood, so no circulation in the entire body occurs. Here I am going to discuss the few vasoconstrictor agents and few vasodilator agents. Actually, these agents are involved in the vasoconstriction. The word vaso is related to the vessels, and the constriction means sukad jana, dilations mean dilations of vessels. Why the blood vessels are constricted and dilated, or what factors are involved in the vasodilation and the vasoconstriction, this is our main focus. Vasoconstrictor agents are epinephrine and norepinephrine. These two agents, these are released from the adrenal gland, adrenal medulla. Actually, adrenal gland is present over the kidney, and adrenal gland has two regions. Outer one is the cortex, inner one is the medulla. So the release, or you can say the source of these hormones, is the adrenal medulla. Norepinephrine is a powerful vasoconstrictor. Epinephrine causes mild vasodilatation. It is epinephrine also causes the vasoconstriction, but its vasoconstriction is mild in comparison with the norepinephrine. In special cases of some examples, it causes the vasodilation. Epinephrine is also responsible for the vasodilation of the coronary arteries. Coronary arteries, these are responsible for providing the blood to the heart tissue. Although heart is involved in pumping blood throughout the body, but the tissue of the heart is also living. It needs blood, it needs oxygen for its survival too. So there is a specialized network of arteries known as the coronary arteries. It forms a net over the surface of the heart to provide the tissue with the fresh blood, or you can say the with oxygenated blood. If there is some kind of restriction or blockage in the coronary artery, there will be a chance of the heart attack. So when there is a condition of the excessive you are doing excessive exercises, or so you are doing some kind of strenuous activity, they your muscles need more oxygen, and in due to your activity, work of heart increases. When the work of heart increases, it contracts with the more power, with the more force, and provide blood to each and every tissue, or you can say each and every cell of your body. In uh, metabolism of the body increases, so um, uh, cells or the tissues of heart personally, or in they also need more oxygen to oxygen for the metabolism. So vasodilation of coronary arteries occur to provide the blood to all tissues or cells of the heart. In body, when the sympathetic nervous system is stimulated in due to strenuous activity, it causes the activation of the sympathetic nerves, and these nerves releases the norepinephrine. the, this norepinephrine causes the excitation of the heart its mean working of heart is increased. And then veins and arterioles are constricted. Due to constriction of veins and arterioles, blood pressure increases, or you can blood pressure definitely इंक्रीज होगा जब वेसल्स कॉन्स्ट्रिक्ट करेंगी. In addition, adrenal medulla causes to secrete some adrenal medulla uh, causes to secrete the norepinephrine and epinephrine due to effect of sympathetic nerves when the nerves are stimulated. Now these hormones circulated through the adrenal medulla is included in endocrine gland, and as all of you know that endocrine glands pour their secretions into the blood, and then these secretions circulate throughout the body with the aid of the blood. And then these causes the contraction in the blood vessels of the whole body. Direct sympathetic stimulation has either direct control and the or either the indirect control. Next vasoconstrictor is a angiotensin 2. It is another powerful vasoconstrictor. Even if 1 millionth of a gram increases arterial pressure up to 50 mmHg millimeter of mercury or more. 1 millionth of a gram is a very minute quantity. If it is induced in the blood circulation, it increases the arterial pressure up to 50 mm of Hg. It causes the contraction of arteriole more powerfully. It increases the total peripheral vascular resistance by increasing the blood pressure. Definitely, when vessels are constricted, resistance of vessels increases. If suppose vessel A or vessel A, B, or C, these are under the exposure of the vasoconstrictor angiotensin 2, these vessels are constricted and the blood pressure increases, but and the resistance in these vessels increases. But when you calculate the total peripheral resistance, automatically there will be an increase in total peripheral resistance. Next is the vasopressin. Another name of the vasopressin is the antidiuretic hormone. It is a more potent vasoconstrictor. Potent means strong vasoconstrictor as compared to angiotensin 2. Now, what is the origin of this hormone? It is actually produced in the hypothalamus of your brain, or you can say hypothalamus of the animals. It uh, it is then transported downward into the posterior pituitary by the nerves. Hypothalamus has a connection with the posterior pituitary through nerves, and it is transported into the posterior pituitary, not into the anterior pituitary. Then through posterior pituitary, it enters into the blood. Various experiments are done in which it is evident that after severe hemorrhage is the breakdown of the vessels and release of blood. Hemorrhage is the breakdown of the vessels and the leakage of the blood from the vessels. It increases the arterial pressure up to 60 mm of Hg. It increases the vasoconstrictor. When hemorrhage, uh, when the hemorrhage occur, it is necessary to contract that vessel, because if this vessel is in dilated stage, there will be more leakage of blood into the tissues, you will be deficient in the blood, or in some cases if the internal hemorrhage occur, it causes edema. Edema is the swelling of that specific tissue or organ where where leakage of fluid or blood occur. Actually, this is a medical terminology. Another important, in some cases, arterial pressure brings back by its um, brings back by the vasopressin. It also play a very important role in the absorption of the water from the renal tubules. Actually, kidney is involved in the maintaining uh, maintaining the water balance or homeostasis in your body. When there is a scarcity of the water in the body, vasopressin secretion of vasopressin increases, and more of water is absorbed in the renal tubules to prevent the body from the dehydration. Okay, prevent the body from dehydration. And in cases if excess water is present, then excess is released through the urination from body. It actually regulates the body fluid volume, and that's why it is also known as the antidiuretic hormone. Next are the vasodilator agents. These causes the dilation of the blood vessels. First one is the bradykinin. Several agents in the body are known as the kinins. These are produced when in the blood, and this in some other tissues of the organs causes the powerful vasoconstrictions. Now, what is the origin of the bradykinin, or from where it is formed? Plasma is the Plasma is a major constituent of the blood. Other than cells, the liquid portion of the blood is known as the plasma. In plasma, there is a protein present or in tissue fluids other than plasma, that is known as the alpha 2 globulin. Alpha 2 globulin is broken down or split under the enzymes, which is known as the proteolytic enzymes, into the kinins. For the breakdown of the alpha 2 globulin, there is a proteolytic enzyme that is known as kallikrein, or you can say kallikrein is a proteolytic enzyme, um, which is present in the body fluid and tissue fluids in inactive form. It is already present in the blood and tissue fluid, but in an inactive form. Why it is present in an inactive form? The reason is it is proteolytic enzyme. It's mean it causes the breakdown of the proteins and other enzymes or amino acids in your body. So it should be in an inactive form. It causes the maceration of the blood. Maceration is the grinding or the death. The word is used for the grinding or the death. So it causes the death of some blood cells, and then it is converted into the inactive form. Maceration is actually due to inner tissue inflammation or some kind of other physical or chemical effects on the blood or the tissue. There will be an accident, it causes inflammation or some kind of infection occur in body, it also causes the inflammation. And cut there will be a cut in your finger due to some sharp knife. It after recovery sometime, there during the process of healing, that tissue is inflamed, or during the process of the surgeries. Now then activated kallikrein converted alpha 2 globulin into the kallidin. Chelidin is actually a kinin. It now it is converted into with the help of tissue enzymes into the bradykinin. Once it is formed, bradykinin, it has the persistence or the life cycle of approximately few minutes. Then it is deactivated by another enzyme in the body that is known as the carboxypeptidase, or known another name is a converting enzyme. Uh, then why it has short lifespan or the half life, you can say. Uh, Actually, the returning of blood vessel to its normal diameter is necessary. If it is dilated, then in and the blood, if it is dilated and the tissue is in inflamed condition, or the tissue is broken down and the fluid is leak and the fluid leakage occurs from that tissue, there will be a more damage to the tissue due to leakage or increased diameter of that vessel, because when the diameter is increased there will be a more leakage of uh, blood or tissue from that area. Activated kallikrein is destroyed by kallikrein inhibitor, which is also present in the body fluids. Bradykinin is a powerful arterial dilator, and it increases the capillary permeability. When the capillary permeability is increased, fluid is leaked from the tissue due to porosity of the capillary, and it causes the edema in that region. It is also believed that bradykinin in regulates the blood flow toward the skin, salivary glands, and the gastrointestinal glands. Next vasodilator is the histamine. All of you are familiar with the histamine. It is released as a result of inflammation and the allergic reaction in the body. Source of the histamine is the mast cells in the damaged tissue. Mast cells are the granular cells from the connective tissues, and they have histamine and heparin in themselves, and the basophil cells in the blood. Now, what are the effects of the histamine in body? It increases the capillary porosity. It means pores in the capillary wall are increased. When the pores are increased, it causes the leakage of the fluid as well as the protein in the tissues. In many pathological conditions, or you can say the disease conditions, increased capillary porosity causes the edema or the swelling of that region. Vascular control by the ions and the other chemical factors. Calcium. Increased level of the calcium causes the vasoconstriction. Why it causes vasoconstriction? I already taught you calcium binds with the troponin C of the muscles. Troponin C, when it binds with the troponin C, it there will be a configurational changes in the actin filament, and uh, active sites on the actin filaments are exposed, and myosin heads gets attached with the actin filament, and muscle contraction occur. Next is the potassium. It's increased quantity. Sorry, there is a mistake. Increased quantity of calcium causes vasoconstriction. Increased quantity of potassium causes vasodilation. It inhibits muscle contraction. When the membrane of the muscle is depolarized due to entry of sodium ions from the extracellular fluid inside the muscle, then uh, after the contraction of the muscle, then repolarization occur, and in repolarization potassium from intracellular fluid moves outside, or you can say it balances the charges toward the negativity, which is positive in the process of depolarization due to entry of more sodium ions. Increased quantity of the magnesium, it inhibits contractions. Why? Because magnesium is a natural blocker of calcium. Calcium, when binds with the troponin, it causes contraction, and when calcium is blocked by the magnesium, definitely vasodilation occurs. When the concentration of the hydrogen ions increases, it causes the arteriolar vasodilation. If the concentration of H positive increases, it is also known as the decrease in the pH. And if the concentration of the H positive decreases, it causes constriction of vessels. Several anions such as the acetate and citrate, these are important in the animal body, and these causes the mild vasodilation in the body of animals. Next is the carbon dioxide. When the carbon dioxide concentration increases in the tissues, it causes the moderate vasodilation, but its effect is more pronounced or enhanced in the brain. Vasomotor, when it is present in the vasomotor center acts with the circulatory system and the respiratory system in the body, and regulates the homeostasis and the blood pressure in the body. It has extremely indirect effect through the activation of sympathetic nerves. It causes vasoconstriction throughout the body. That is the completion of the topic. Thank you.